We will almost be there very shortly. All right. Looks like we are back. So just in time because we are mixing up in well, which is vanilla. Oh, certainly very, very nice. Jem also got a sword from somewhere. Jem does not have a sword from somewhere. Never mind. uh, oh, but we have money. All right, so that's gonna be really nice for Jem. Barring, well, okay, right. We know that the at least Kelrick's sword came from Paradox, which again, without that mirror, Gem was not able to sequence break out at least that entrance of Paradox. But that being said, being able to have money to be able to actually buy any type of resources for offense is really is gonna be very beneficial to Gem. Speaking of, though, we got some more sequence breaking up on Laser Bridge. Certainly four really nice locations for us to be able to get a couple more things. With the boots, oh, sorry, with pseudo boots, with the sword, Korik should actually have, I would say, relatively few problems being able to get this. No Kano Samara means that we're basically going to just be out after this. Gem you can certainly see in this case, you certainly don't need a sword to help you do laser skips. That being said, there is that pesky red hard hat beetle that is looking like he's just gunning after Gem. Oh, but we have a hook shot. Okay, that's significantly nicer. Yeah, okay. Early hook shot for I mean again for anyone is going to be certainly really really nice. So combination of early hook shot and or real boots and ice rod and a sword on Korek's side. I believe we can actually get into Mire. For better or for worse, the Ice Rod is one of the few weapons early on that can still, in this case, kill Wizrobes, but in this case we also do have a sword. So, I guess if they want to go in, they can. It is a little bit dangerous, but we're in this case, we're gonna have to see what Kowork decides to do. If he decides to leave out Kakariko, and then further exploring, or maybe do a bit more. All right. Meanwhile, though, Gem again still swordless. Good looks like potential good resource management. Oh my gosh, though, Covert Buddy walking over to Hype Cave. We have found in this case the NPC which gives us a fire rod. Assuming he got here logically, which it does look like he didn't break logic yet, that is 100% within reason or your ability to go get it. It is within logic to go talk to any NPCs and get their item. As a bunny. I mean, worst case scenario, or sorry, maybe the most extreme case scenario would be you can get a pearl that way. It's actually really funny. But, that is something that if you were not aware of maybe potentially earlier, that is something that's a good lesson that's going to stick with you for quite a long time. All right, looks like though, yeah. So at least so far, the early game, man, that mirror, that Korik found has really helped him basically sequence break out a lot. That early sword certainly is certainly doing very quite well for Korik. Gem, I mean, isn't necessarily going to be. Suddenly, lots of Turtle Rock is looking much more within our horizon. We did find Laser Bridge. We found the Kena Samaria on Korik's side. Suddenly, I mean, so we can't maybe go much further in that, at least in that general area, just because we don't have a lamp, and technically, you are not required to traverse dark rooms. That being said, apparently all you have to do is hold up when you go in from the south, in that, and then, you are in Crystal Roller before you know it. So, okay. All right. Well, okay. So Gem in this case has found uh a pendant, green pendant, I think, right? We even I think knew this from talking to Sahasra earlier. By the way, huge shout outs to Hugo and Solid, our trackers today. I mean, they're doing like all of the hard work. Actually being able to watch this and keeping everything accurate. That's probably actually the most valuable part of the stream, honestly. So thank you guys so much. Really, really do appreciate it. Yeah. All right. So, Cowork is finishing up all the stuff in Death Mountain. We had already saw Gem do most of this. Meanwhile, though, Gem here is in pod. One key decides to use it for the front. We have real boots. So he certainly is going to probably give the pod hover, actually looking like pretty good. Really up to, oh, so close. Okay, we're gonna try again. We got one heart left to spare. All right, looks like not going to be as good. But that being said, if he succeeds during the pod hover, really nice shortcut to be able to get to the bowlock side. That being said, Gem is probably he has really worked on his mimic clipping to sequence break out the bowlock side. He has gotten it down to be pretty fast from what I've seen in his recent races. So it's going to be, I think, he is very much expecting to be able to get these two chests. Okay, we were kind of close to being able to go get that, unfortunately. I don't know in this case if Gem's gonna go back. It is a bit unfortunate that it was just, yeah, not enough hearts to be able to take one fireball shot. I mean, but it is what it is, and I certainly think that this is very reasonable for Gem not to go back. It's quite a long trek to go back there anyway. It is also still out of logic, and looking at the rest of the field, maybe like 50-50, maybe like, 40-60 if other people who stop by pod are also going to be able to mimic clip. Probably not going to be, the end of the world if he just kind of leaves it there. All right, well, speaking of hover, I will say, Gem and Korik being on the same team, I mean, I once Korra gets real boots, I fully expect him to also show off his hovering or boots ability. Just because you can't just be on team. We all should hover every day without showing off at least a little bit, of boots dust. All right, looks like though Koworkers ended up finding the old man. I think Gemma actually ended up doing this early. Oh right, this is where we got our real boots. Okay, so I mean, for better for worse, like if boots were accessible pretty early, so maybe kind of mitigate some of the pseudo boots benefit like in that. But now I think when you have real boots, you can actually don't have to think about can I do this with pseudo boots. It's always quite a treat, in my opinion, for the viewers to maybe take a little bit of like a Schadenfreude, some happiness and some others people's uh momentary forgetfulness of oh you can't actually get across the ice palace bomb jump, you can't actually think about Hera, how their bear a big chest or something like that. But of course you only remember that once or twice. All right, Kowick is in the South Kakariko area. um I wonder if this is going to be a Meyer play for him because we're kind of in the area. We've got, we got a lot of real things that we can be able to do stuff in. Most importantly, we have a hook shot, we have a sword. I mean, we've got, a bunch of rods in this case that we can actually use, and we do have the Meyer small key, so it will actually make Meyer the inside, just a little bit nicer in order to be able to route. Looks like that's exactly where we're going. All right. Meanwhile, though, Jem, okay, he's gonna finish up the rest of the stuff here in Kakariko that he didn't really think he'd get a chance to be doing a little bit earlier. Maybe one kind of like difference in the early game was that, well, certainly they did go to different directions, but I think Jem probably had a more tendency to follow some more connectors. All right, okay, that's right. Cowork went to Hyo Castle just a little bit earlier than Jem. This is in this case where the lumberjack drop down is, and yeah, Jem's going to see at least the mirror. Maybe be a little bit more annoyed the fact that the mirror was just kind of sitting here for him for so long. But the important part is that he's going to be able to get it. He might go straight back over to Paradox for what it's worth, in order to go get like the 7 items there, and which is where the sword is. Ah, yes. We actually do have a fire source with the what I think still is in logic fire rod gotten by our bat-like friend man in Hype Cave, which we actually didn't talk into as a bunny. And so with the fire rod, we are actually going to be able to light the torches on Meyer, or at least on the right side. Now that being said, logically speaking, we need 3 keys to go into the right side of Meyer. However, so they may not be in logic for now. However, keep in mind, of course, this is completionist. We do have to do literally everything. So it is probably in your best interest to do, to be as efficient and as getting as much coverage, for your trip as basically as much as you can. Also, gem, very. This is probably one of the hardest things when you're playing completionist mode. Write this on, like on a post-it note or something. Tape it to your monitor. Pick up everything. Okay, like that statement. Sometimes it's like, oh, of course you're gonna pick up everything. No, so when you see 20 rupees on race game, when you see 5 rupees on Desert Ledge. All right. You do not write those off. When you see, 20 rupees sitting in checkerboard cave, doesn't matter how rich you are, you need that in order to complete the game. All right. Oh, that's a funny looking lamp, actually. So I think in theory we still could have been able to gotten the lamp and then to be able to go to the right side if we, even if we kind of did not come in here with a fire source. Not probably the thing that you're necessarily most expecting out of Meyer. Because you always think about, especially for rando, you have to bring BYOE, I guess, bring your own equipment. In this case, Meyer just kind of had something kind of like left for you. For what it's worth, in completionist mode, and you actually do see in this case we have the global counter up top. So it will certainly be quite beneficial to be able to just depend on the counter in order to make sure that you do have everything in the game. That being said, compasses, while they do not have any real inherent technical, I guess, like logical, use for you. Like you don't need the compass in the map in order to, have the boss necessarily be in logic, stuff like that. But that item counter for the compass, especially, just a little bit of extra quality of life in this case, for you to be able to keep track of all the things you still may or may not need to do in the dungeon. All right, but okay, so speaking of logic, we do have the lamp for Meyer. Korik is actually going to go all the way full through to Turtle Rock, or at least just for Crystal Roller. Narrowly avoiding what looked like to be very large talk. Again, this is also one of those things for Spec Rock that make sure you go pick up. And even though it was our first bottle in this particular case, so maybe the instinct to just write it off in your head, or the tracker or whatnot, is maybe like more so mitigated. But again, it's when you're playing this mode, get in the mindset of I need to pick up everything. I can't just skip things. Skipping things is very bad, especially when you have, let's say, like 214 or 215, and you're trying to figure out where the last thing that you need is, and is not apparently obvious what necessarily areas you have to go back to. All right, so this is going to be Jum's kind of like foray back into uh, Death Mountain, or at least Dark Death Mountain. We actually did see Korik actually taking advantage of that early mirror, being able to kind of do Light and Dark Death Mountain kind of like together in one go versus Gem. Just having like a slightly later mirror. Not gonna be like a very big deal. I would say probably the only major thing, which actually, it's not minor, but it's certainly not like super major, right? Is that with the early mirror, a little bit of time gain for Korek, but probably is just gonna be like Gem's still kind of missing out on that sword from Paradox. And yeah, if those of you who've ever seen Gem play any mode, any type, his probably number one request for items after boots is a sword. You give him one sword, he is pretty much golden for the rest of the game if he needs to. Nice dodge for the Tektite. All right. Well, speaking of, Korik is in pod a little bit after Gem. He has an additional small key that he is probably going to be able to use at least for the back. That being said, I do not expect Korik to mimic clip, unless he has done a lot of practicing offline in the last couple days that I do not know about. I would expect maybe him to give the pod hover maybe like the old college try. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Again, it's not gonna be it's not in logic or anything without the bow, and so that means that if he misses out on those two items, it's whatever. Okay, but here we go. Real boots. This is the namesake team. We all should hover every day. We gave it the one shot, which is again this is actually one of the hardest hovers that you can actually make in the entire game. You actually not only make it, I think, all the way across. You also just turn directions when you hover as well, and you have to basically clip it right into the right spot for the railing. It can be quite difficult. Yeah, but we can actually see kind of like the benefit of being able to have just even one extra small key to pod. Okay, let me just rescind my one statement. An extra two small keys to pod because why wouldn't we find another small key to pod inside pod? What a game, etc., etc. Interesting Quake, which is six small key locked in Harmless Hellway. Now keep in mind again that this is completionist. While the trap, the danger of maybe picking the wrong 50-50, uh, yeah, Harmless Hellway versus Milobiki chest in pod will can still have an impact here. We eventually have to get both of them. It's just that, if maybe something was better in the Milobiki chest that Korik didn't get, and he'll come back, I don't know, hour later or something like that for it, that could have benefited him. It is, again, unfortunate. But it does mean at least that you'll have to go back for it. Meanwhile, though, talk about that bottle. Don't skip out on things because apparently Sickit had her pearl. Now suddenly that pearl at least is going to be very very nice for Jem to being able to basically do all of the Dark World stuff. No more bunny walking. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, maybe. Ooh, how many podkeys do we have on Jump Side? How many more? Doesn't look like we have that many more things. I was gonna say with that bow, the bow lock set now becomes in logic, and I don't know if that's gonna further incentivize Jump to come back or go back earlier. All right, we got some more hovering. Very, very well done, Korek. All right, sounds like I'm not I'm not part of the team, but it does look like you have successfully hovered. Probably means that you are able to stay on the team for at least for League for just a little bit longer. Very nice, of course. Remember to pick up all items. We do need everything that we can get our hands on. Of course, keep in mind that this is still a sequence break. You are not expected to do any type of this, and I think the only way actually to get up there is actually via hovering because you can, like, regardless of the bombs that you use or set up, you cannot get over there via bomb jump. Oh, thanks, Hugo. Actually, reminding me of something that I actually had said earlier in this commentary as an example. It is, you are absolutely correct. It is very much within logic as a bunny to go talk to an NPC and get an item. In this case, it actually was our pearl, just like a fire rod from Hype Cave Dude. All right. Okay. All right. So Jem is in the Finding Thieves town. We have, well, okay. Let's get see what Jem wants to do. Outside of the front four, he does have the big key, so he is able to at least beat the boss and finish the dungeon. However, we have no hammer, we have no small key, means that we are gonna potentially isolate a big chest. Of course, yeah, and right, we're unless maybe one or both of them are in the back, we're not going to be able to finish it. Now, maybe it depends on the level of regression. If you play normal cross keys, you could potentially take a position and try and finish the dungeon early. As in, you get the dungeon prize, whatever it may be, and then you just leave kind of like that one chest. This is completionist mode, so you can still take the same position. It's just that you know for sure you're going to have to eventually go back to the chest, as opposed to maybe in regular cross keys. If you say, well, if the item is there, I'm not gonna, I'll get burned by it, and I'll pay for my consequences if it happens. But here, it's definitely gonna happen. So maybe a bit more prudent for people to try and put it off until we end up getting a little bit more equipment for the rest of the dungeon. Ah, yeah, Hugo also pointing out that we have not found Eastern Palace. However, that being said, Jem has found the bow in the back of Blind's hut. He has found the big key to Eastern Palace in the front of Thieves Town. We have not found Eastern, but regardless of which side of the Eastern Palace debate you are on, and let me just for the record say that there is an objectively correct side. It, you will be very happy because you are going to be able to single dip Eastern Palace and go in immediately whenever, in this case, you see the dungeon. Interesting. We found the other club here in Roller Room at the front of Turtle Rock, and this is definitely very cane required. And Fire Rod, actually, from our NPC. And yeah, Hugo, so there are a couple of, certainly Crosskeys has been around for quite some time, and there are definitely, I would say, debates on whether or not, uh, you want to go into Eastern as soon as you find it. The probably the two popular sides are some people would like to single dip Eastern Palace, which means that you absolutely need the bow, the big key, in order to be able to go inside. Some people are, I would say, much more amicable to going into the Eastern Palace when you first find it, because there are four items in the front, potentially five, yeah, that you can basically just get. Yeah, so we are actually kind of seeing in this case. Well, Korik, I won't necessarily say he's at too much of a disadvantage right now not having the pearl. Like, we're seeing him be able to do still a lot of stuff with the mirror. It just might be at a slightly higher time cost. Well, one is because we're in the dark world, so we are a bunny, and which means we can't actually take advantage of any of like the nice quality things we have, right? We have boots, real boots, and we have a sword. And then Korik also is gonna maybe, if he does need to go into a dark world cave, he can super bunny in, but again, it does kind of require the mirror, and it is certainly just a bit slower than potentially just well walking in. But this is kind of like the consequence of crosskeys, you know? You sometimes you can hit like a nice route to be able to, on the Korik side, he found the mirror super early, got him a sword, being able to got him like a set of really nice things, like well, he got a glove on roller room sequence, not sorry, sequence not sequence broken because he was able to get the fire rod when one of his earlier connectors, along with Samaria. Meanwhile, though, Gem with that small key to Desert Palace with the Vicky chest turn. Really nice. I'm sure he is super happy in order to see a very nice tempered sword, or not tempered, fighter sword, the first sword that he has on his side. Correct. Oh, cute. Not often you get to see in this case someone actually buying a heart. I mean, Kovac is certainly very wealthy in terms of his money acquisition. But still not often you get to see basically, people buying an extra heart just for, in this case, survivability. And of course, code on Korik to remember, again, you need everything. Do not just immediately turn around when you see an item that you're not interested in. All right, looks like though we actually did find the back of Desert Palace as well. And remember, this is Crosskeys. We do need, and I think we've kind of alluded at least to some of this earlier. Like for example, we needed the Eastern Palace big key to go into to be Eastern with. We still do need the Desert Palace big key. Now for regular non-completionist Crosskeys, there are certain big keys that are very elusive, right? Eastern Palace big key, Desert Palace big key. Meyer, Big Key, the things that basically like the items that kind of only really lock like one or two kind of things. They're essentially just like ice rods, right? They can be anywhere, maybe outside of in this case like the boss itself, for the dungeon. And they can be, yeah, people have spent, quite a long time trying to basically in like go mode -1 or go mode -2 looking for these. That can, in theory, still maybe happen for a completionist mode. It's just that at least you know that you're gonna have to go find it, so maybe you can try and mitigate and change your strategy in order to be a bit more efficient. Another thing to keep in mind for completionist mode, so the mini game that Jem just played also gave me a reminder. So chess game is probably one of those things that are very obvious, right? You always do chess game. is, and you're always going to be able to claim the prize. For other mini games, maybe such as like dig game, remember, you need to go pick up the item. I believe there was actually one incident where in completionist mode when it first came out on ladder, was someone dug up a bunch of stuff like in dig game after some number of digs. The actual item in dig game was 20 rupees, but it was camouflaged in with all the other 20 rupees that were already dig up, and so the runner, I believe, actually just didn't pick it up. Or he thought he picked it up, and he picked up the wrong one. And yeah, that was a little hard in order to go back to be and try and find. I was actually thinking earlier when I think both in Gem and Korik ended up scouting Maze Rays, like if that was maybe necessary. I think it was still probably okay. I mean, in this mode you still have to go get it, but just because like it could be something very important, like there may be like a sword up there or like a glove up there, or I guess something that we don't have, a hammer, for example. You maybe want to prioritize connectors a bit more, just because you know that the only way to kind of get there is via connector or in this case like Dark World and Pearl and Mirror. Speaking of though, Korik is still pearlless. So that early kind of like out of the gate start that Korik had was super nice. Maybe slowing down just a little bit, just because right now it seems like so he's still be able to do a lot of good things, but he is probably going to be bottlenecked by that pearl sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, though, you see Jam. Well, without the fire rod, but this is Crosskeys, so being here in the front of Skullwoods is very normal to be here without a fire rod, and probably actually just has hopefully some amount of value for us. That being said, he's coming in here without a small key. Ideally, you would really like to be able to bring one with you just for nice routing purposes. You will get so there's always still a guaranteed small key in Pinball Room, just in case. However, to make kind of like the rest of Skullwoods a bit more palatable, palatable always being relative, a relative term, you still really want to be able to have at least one with you. All right, what she looks like Korik is. I was going to wonder how aggressive he was going to be and try to kill those rats for for some resources, but it looks like he was at least okay. Now, that being said, though, I am wondering if we've actually seen any amount of value here in Skullwoods. I think the answer is no. I didn't actually see anything that maybe at least would have tickled our fancy for anything that was at least going to be either useful in the short or long term. Meanwhile, though, Correct. I'm glad to see in this case. Okay, we know from Gem's side that all the flipper stuff is in logic because he does in this case have them. That being said, Korik is actually checking Hobo now. Maybe kind of running out of things to do. We actually do see, of course, and of course, this is going to be another meme. If you don't brush Hobo within the first 5 minutes, he has nothing good for you. And that being said, though, it is, again, this is another one of those occasions that you still have to go do regardless of your situation because Hobo does have an item. This game is not 215 out of 215. It is 216 out of 216. It just kind of depends on if Hobo in this case has something important for you. Like, it is worth for you to get maybe on the earlier side when you don't have as good of equipment, so your trek takes a little bit longer, versus, later when maybe you can get there slightly faster or more efficiently. All right, we get some information here on okay, Swamp and Skull are 5-6 crystals today. Crystal knowledge is always good, especially in this case. I mean, if we come out of the pyramid crack, then certainly and we don't have to necessarily go back. Then we don't necessarily have to care about this. This is 216 mode, of course. One minor note: it is technically all dungeons for this particular thing. So we are gonna have to go beat all of the pendants and crystal bosses. The only reason why we probably specify that is considered AD versus full completionist is that if like Aga 1, what's behind Aga 1 is the useless fairy, you still have to go kill Aga 1 in order to fully make the mode complete. There is Gem's Master Sword coming out of Paradox. I'm sure he would have loved to have that, 5 minutes in. All right, so being more here in Paradox, I'm actually kind of also looking at Gem's tracker being upkept by. So I'm not sure who's. I'm not sure who's actually tracking Gem versus Korik, but either Hugo or Solid has marked that. Thanks, Hugo. All right, so Hugo has marked that Gem has not only the bow for pod, he has four pod small keys. So maybe you want to wait and try and hedge your bets for the big keys. You can or and the hammer. I don't know if Jen wants to go back there. He tried to get the Bollock side right earlier, and he was unsuccessful, unfortunately, because of the mimic. So I think he only really got what, like 2 items or something out of pod. I also don't know if you're okay triple dipping the dungeon. But I mean, like that being said, he can get a lot of stuff out of pod, right? And it is going to be pretty dense. But I guess we'll see in this case what he kind of wants to do. At least maybe it looks like for the time being, we're gonna go check a couple more connectors. Now, Korik, what we would like Korik to do right now is being able to go and check up on Sick Kid. It looks like we are actually gonna go get the rest of maybe like the water checks. Now that he actually has the real flippers. So this is also probably okay. Okay. He can probably do at least this island. Assuming he's not a connector, we can actually finish off the water stuff. Okay. And right, one of the things about Zora again is that so at least for Gem, he's probably fine just because he has the bow, so he can sequence break out Zora Ledge if he needs to. But oh, like you can't just necessarily again you can't scout out the Zora Ledge and be like, oh okay, it's only 10 arrows. I don't need this anymore. You still have to go get it, and if you don't have the flippers, is uh, like you're gonna have to find another way to basically take the item out now if you can. Good scout. Oh, good. Look at Jem go. All right. Okay. Finally, he is a man of his words. Putting his money where his mouth is. He has when he encountered Gamble Game. He has normally, like the gamble guy is a mokter, as in he tries to scam you out of money, right? But today, Jam is the mokter. Like he, in fact, not only he paid what 100 rupees for a 300 rupee return. Okay. All right. And we actually can see that, with the boots, with the pearl especially, Gem is actually able to, I mean, do all this Dark World stuff very, very efficiently. Is there no music? Or is there no game audio on the stream? All right. Maybe we can maybe try and figure out if something is going on. All right, looks like we are okay. So Korik is actually going to follow up on Super Bunny. I'm trying to actually remember where Sick Kid actually was. It was definitely in the Dark World because I remember Pink Bunny getting the pearl from Sick Kid, and then when he came out, it was Pink Link. Sick Kid is Dark World Archetype. Thank you so much, Hugo. Yeah, see, this is why this is why our trackers, or at least like Hugo and Solid, they're doing like the most important work of all the entirety of the stream. Yeah, so I guess in this case we just need Korik to at least go further north. Not well, certainly not. He can still finish up everything he's doing now. But he's gonna have to go and find that pearl sooner rather than later. He is scouting Floating Island. It is nothing useful, but again, this is one of those things where you do not write this off your tracker. We're definitely going to still need it eventually. All right, but speaking of potential things that we actually don't need, I think we found both ends of Bumper Cave connector. And I mean, I think unless you want that shortcut over, you probably don't have to necessarily remember where that thing goes. Ooh, so this is like a slightly unfortunate sequence of events. We did see Korek pick up his first glove on Roller Room. Jem has one piece of the necessary puzzle, which is Samaria. He has not the remaining piece, which is probably at least the most convenient one, is the fire rod because that's what everyone uses. Apparently, there does exist a video of someone actually using lamps in order to touch those to light the torches. I have no idea if that's even like remotely. I mean, it's not remotely feasible whatsoever. But in this case, Gem is going to have to at least miss out on those mitts temporarily. Chomps are chomps are very very terrible. But at least Gem was actually able to get out, get the heart piece. All right. No, that being said, though, the fact that we not gonna maybe get the fire rod at least on Gem's side, probably. I'm not sure when he's actually gonna be able to get it. He might be missing those mitts for a bit longer, like a bit longer than even than most people would like to have. But speaking of what we're not gonna miss, we have found Eastern Palace. In on Gem's side, we actually do see that we had a map somewhere earlier. It is a pendant. So not gonna be, but again, this is completionist mode. You know, you may be a little disappointed, you know, in regular Crosskeys to find out, oh, Eastern Palace is fully clearable. We can do everything in here, literally, and then you know, you may not necessarily even need it for to finish, right? But however, again, this is completionist. We are going to have to finish it regardless. And again, having the big key and the bow means that everybody is happy being in here. Gem does not have the lamp from Meyer, I think it's a map chess. So technically for him, maybe, you know, well, at least so far, it's not going to be in logic for him. However, you know, again, logic is really one of those things, especially for Gem and Korik, to be, I won't even say suggestions at this point, especially for Gem. I think that if there were actually like a mode that's like a no lamp mode or something like that, or you know all dark rooms are in logic, I'm pretty sure that he would do like he would well for most modes, I think he would certainly be up on the top of leaderboards. For that mode especially, though, his dark rooms are extremely good. This dark room is probably not going to be too big a deal for most people that at least are a little bit more practiced in this game. But this is some. But yeah, I think Jeff feels very very comfortable here without a lamp. In fact, it's actually arguable that his dark rooms might actually be faster, especially in like Meyer basement, versus if he actually has the lamp. It's probably actually not true, but it's like, but you know, there's a kernel of truth in that statement. We found a flute, by the way, on Cowork's side. I did catch it earlier, and that because I remember seeing him activate it. That is like, so it's kind of interesting. So Jem has the pearl, and he's got and he's got a lot of connectors over to Dark World, right? So he's able to do a lot of things. He's got the sword, you know, he's got Master Sword even. Korik is still pearl less, but he's got a lot of really nice like overworld travel stuff, at least in the light world. So he can fairly just get to a lot of locations very quickly. We just kind of need him to go back into North Dark World, which looks like he's going right now. Hopefully, just go north after this. He's gonna be able to get his pearl, and then he'll be you know be a bit happier. Oh, it was actually on Zora. Thanks, Solid. Hilarious. Talking about man, as completionist mode, you know, like this is how maybe you can over-index, right? Make sure that you know you use all your brain power to remember to go pick up all the things, and then you just forget all of the actual good things that you care about. Flute, glove, fire rod, you know, etc. Yeah, that flute though was actually super nice then for Korik. So man, assuming he can get the Desert Palace small cube, but do we not go to Dark Lumberjack? Dang it, dang it. Maybe Korik will go back. Oh, half match is kind of nice on Armos. All right, we did know that this was not the green pendant because we did see that at least both from talking to Sahasrahla, well, mainly talking to Sahasrahla, that was the green pendant. This is gonna be another one, and of course, keep in mind, yeah, this is gonna be, you know, this is technically, I guess, a pet seed, and that we have to pull pet today. You know, there is another item on pedestal, so yeah, we are gonna need these three pendants. We don't know what the third one is so far. But potentially, pedestal actually could have an item that is useful. Hey, nice. 47 minutes in. We got a first. I don't know if that's. I think that's kind of fast, maybe. For Crosskeys, for what it's worth. I don't think it's slow per se, but yeah, 47 minutes. Yeah. I hope you have some popcorn. You know, maybe you got like an extra drink or so. You know, for typical Crosskey seed, maybe you can budget. Let's say like 2 hours. You know, that's certainly something that you would kind of aim for. 2 hour seed. You got a little bit more, 215. 220, and this is completionist. Just budget maybe a little bit more time, potentially for that. Now that being said, of course, so this mode is very explicit in that yes, you must collect everything, and yeah, you'll probably spend a little bit of extra time, actually like physically picking up floating island, checkerboard, a desert ledge, all these things that you may not pick up in your normal playthrough. However, if you have had Crosskey seeds that have over 200 collection rate, you might have an experience as to what maybe a completionist mode actually is like. Because, so one for regular Crosskeys seed, it is actually quite difficult. It's harder than you think in order to get something that's over 200 collection rate. Even though you think you've literally full cleared the game, there are going to be things where, again, maybe you didn't need something from Dig Game, you did need something on Desert Ledge or Zora Ledge. And then, and those things actually, GT Torch, right? Like, those things actually do add up. And, so you skip kind of enough things that you're like, oh, I only have, only, quote unquote, 203 or something. But you've pretty much, at that point, pretty much played a full completionist scene at that point, so. All right, Gem is actually going to, again, this is something we have to go do. You would be, if something, oh, well, something is actually on Catfish today, which is well, okay, okay. Always good to. Okay, that's actually a really nice key to have to define before you can actually give into Swamp Palace. I know that Jem found Swamp Palace earlier. Probably not going to be like the worst thing to go back into Swamp Palace because it didn't look. It's certainly not going to be as tedious as non-entrance because you don't have to drain the dam. You don't have to mirror, 5 times over in order to get back in every single time. But again, this is something that, especially for this mode, really rewards you for being efficient. And if you can single dip, maybe potentially double dip in, some cases for your dungeons, that is very, very beneficial for your time. All right, is Korik finally gonna go get his pearl at the 51-minute mark? It is certainly looking like it. I am assuming he survives this trip up to Dark Lumberjack because they're always going to be, maybe like a Snapdragon or like a Murderdactyl, in his face. Then, like right now, okay, all right, we're safe. We have been able to get our pearl, and we're happy now. Someone should be cursing Dunka on Korek's side. All right. I also do like that Jem actually walked kind of like he stood kind of off to the side. Because in this case, you still need the item regardless when you go talk to Zora. Korek. Okay, Korek did not die. That is it was very important. Goodbye, B. It was a great life that you have lived here so far. A good heal actually on Korek's side. I really do actually approve of this. It's just kind of unfortunate that we had to go leave one of our best companions behind. All right, so finally, Korik finding out his pearl and also finding, Fairy Fountain literally right next door. I think he still made the right decision. A little bit extra cost for money, but we're not worried about money anymore because we've already paid off Sora. And if something had happened to him, kind of like in that area, if he took an overworld death, that is quite painful. Because he's not going to be able to come back. Korik is probably not super thrilled to see Thieves Down here in Graveyard Ledge. This is again, it's one of those locations where it's I mean, it's not pleasant to get to in the regular game, non-entrance. It's probably just as unappealing in order to go get in entrance. However, though, at least the front four, this is quite beneficial for Korik because he can get his mitts here. And coupled with the flute, he is going to have access to the mire area, which is really, really actually like I don't think we actually had a connector over there yet, and that is going to be something that he can do over Gem. Which I mean, like he basically has his new set of, in this case, items and entrances to go find. These. Then not having the fire rod early for Gem to be able to go get his miss from Turtle Rock Roller Room can actually be It could be very beneficial for Korik if he kind of maybe follows this and something is there. All right, so talking about maybe delaying checks, we actually did see Korik come over here to out of logic with the flippers, coming all the way over from from the south basically to swim up here to Hobo. Gem is taking a much more efficient route with the mirror being right along Overworld, Dark World in this area, and then be able to come straight back over. Now again, this one in this mode, there's no such thing as skipping. We can only delay. I mean, to the actual like sense of delaying because you cannot finish the game if you do not have 216. Speaking of 216, I'm really hoping that Jem actually did get the torch item. I don't think I mean, I'm assuming he did when he was in desert. But again, this is just one of those things where it's almost muscle memory, right? Again, you see 3 bombs on the torch, doesn't matter. You know, you just literally walk right out, right? All right, Jem has picked up his lucky shovel. The sea can only go up from here. He can't necessarily dig right now anywhere that is remotely good. Oh, Korik, I did not realize he didn't have a bomb when he was over here earlier. Oh no, no, no. Maybe he just didn't find it to begin with. Okay. Oh, he might have found it as a buddy. That's right. Oh, right. And okay. And then with the myths, he's actually gonna be able to check Ice Palace vanilla location. Um, uh, I mean, not right now necessarily. Because he's not kind of like in that area, but eventually he's going to be able to go there. Hopefully, it's not going to be too isolated. Ooh, all right. Well, speaking of, we also have Hookshot Cave on Gem side. We have a bunch of stuff actually for. Okay, so I think we have everything for Hera. It looks like so. Hugo's marked at least the small key for Gem and the big key. We have not found Hera yet, but that's going to be another fully clearable dungeon when we get there. Ah, okay. Thanks, Solid. Okay, right. That makes a lot of sense. If he could only basically, like the only reason why he was probably over there earlier was, and he couldn't, Bibby's doing thing was if he was a bunny. Okay, it looks like Kowick actually has a bunch of skull with small keys, so I mean it's gonna be at least a little bit nicer. It won't actually get him anywhere more like logically. Access, sorry, more access in terms of skull woods just make things a bit more efficient for him. But still, oh, actually, but with the fire rod, he is going to be able to check the back of Skullwoods, or we'll just run straight out. Unless he came out of the back of Skullwoods or something. Uh, oh, okay. Maybe he wanted to come back to Pod as well. We have. Oh, we have the bow on Korik side. That's right. So we can get the Bowlock side. And does he want to use his one extra key? I guess to go to Vanilla Bicky Chest. Looks like the answer is yes. This is going to be pretty efficient for him too, because he's going to be able to use his key here. He's going to be able to drop straight down in, and then he's going to get the Bowlock side. All right. Meanwhile, though, Gem looks like great. Like, we were maybe this will be motivation for him to go back into Skullwoods, with that Skullwoods big key, because he does have a portal in Lost Woods for him. So all right, let's see what Korik and Gem, especially Gem, probably because he fully intended to get to these two chests, but was unable to. What did we miss out? Basically, what, like 10 minutes in or something? 20 rupees and a map to GT. Okay, we did not miss anything. Useful in our treks. However, like I mean, we still have to go back, again, eventually to get them because it is 216 mode. But we certainly did not need it as part of anything that was necessary as part of our travels. Jim did get he got powder off of Alpha Mini Moldrum Cave, and and this okay. We still need to do everything. It's just nothing. It's only 10 arrows though for here. Yeah, and unfortunately, well, okay, we haven't actually done this part of Skull Woods on Cowork side either. So you can at least finish up the front here. Probably go get the big chest as part of as part of Skull Woods. We have another pod key. Okay, so that's at least nice in that we can. All we actually need in this case is the big chest and the boss when we get there. So most likely we will not go back until we end up finding the big key and the hammer. Right, Gem. That's right. I think we saw Cowork do this significantly earlier. And right, this is in this case where he got his ice rod. For better or for worse, Jum's like, I found this now. I guess we'll just go do it. I think we had not seen the Hyrule Castle small key yet. So this outside of the ice rod, none of this is going to be actually in logic. That being said, I don't actually know if there was anything back here that was important. Because in theory, you can actually just kill the guard and then turn straight around and then go to the back of escape for this. Oh, that might be important. Okay, well, okay, right. Big Key to Ice Palace again. We have, no, actually, never mind. Gem has actually found Ice Palace. It was in Village of Outcasts. I think it was in Chess Game, if I'm not mistaken. So, but he does not have the ability to go into Ice Palace that Cowork does, because Cowork has the Fire Rod. Which, oh man, okay, so Hype Cave. Oh, that's actually another place that Koa can actually go back to. He can actually go back to Hype Cave to get the back of the remaining 4 chests there. Because again, he was there as a bunny. He talked to the NPC, and he ended up getting the fire rod from the bat-like man. So maybe that can potentially be something of higher priority for Korik. Jem has yet to find that connector that leads him to Dark World Mimic Cave. All right, and is still lampless at this point because he has actually not been inside Meyer yet either. He does have the ability to go in. Looks like actually we did find the Meyer big key. Yeah, we found the Meyer big key. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so Jem doesn't know this because there is the lamp in there as the fire source, so he is able to actually completely clear out Meyer. He might take a slight, time penalty slash sarcasm for the Meyer basement once in this case he picks up the lamp. But that is actually going to be a probably fully clearable. My guess is going to be crystal at this point. Okay, well speaking of, we're gonna find the fire rod immediately. So now Jem's going to be very very happy going into Meyer, very relatively soon. All right. Looks like we're also going to give up our bee. It has metamorphosized into a fairy, apparently, because, when your wings sparkle and your body can only, be so big, you just have to, basically talk to, your fairy godmother, and then, you'll be able to become a full fairy yourself. That's how Disney piece, works, right? And fairy tales. Something like that. All right, Jeff has. This is we saw Korik do this like very, very early. Hopefully Jem doesn't feel too bad about kind of missing out on this. He did find a good amount of stuff though, in his own set of travels. But maybe missing on that fire rod maybe doesn't feel, the greatest. Oh, we have the big key to pod too. Oh. Oh yeah, that's right. Korik was only able to get the fire rod off of the NPC. Okay, this is quite nice then for Jem. We still don't have the hammer in order to go finish up pod. Maybe, at this point, man, I don't know what he's thinking. If he because it seems like it's so tempting to just go back and like to wait on pod for the hammer. Uh at least especially for Gem's case because we have so many small keys and we literally just need one more hammer, one more item to go fully clear out the dungeon. I don't think we actually saw anything. Well, we certainly did not see the hammer in the back of pod. So that's at least something that is something that's going for him. Now, I'm trying to remember if there was anything in the back of pod that actually could like lead to the hammer. If that's the case, then Gem might be, a bit more out of luck. And maybe it's considered to be too greedy. But in this case, he's got one full mire, ahead of him. So there's going to be 8 items. And of course, with the fire rod, he has every confidence he's going to be able to get all the items. Once he finds the lamp, he will realize that he did not need that confidence because, again, the dungeon just provides a fire source for you. Kobrik might die here. Oh my god. We are only on 2 hearts. Oh my gosh, Kobrik. 3 hearts. 3 hearts. Yes. Okay, 3 hearts. 3 hearts is what we need. Maybe Kobrik can dig up a heart. That would be kind of nice, right? To be able to do that. Maybe we'll just get a fairy. Unfortunately, we don't have the bug nets. We will again. This is 216. We will get it eventually. It just has not shown up here yet. You know, on our in our travels. All right, so that's 3, I think. We are. Found the well no okay, we're just gonna finish up in this case the front of skull wisp. Yeah, meanwhile though, Gem looks like I'm assuming he's going to have he already has his lamp. The fact that he's coming back here means that he should only have basically vitreous and the bridge chest left. All right, here we go, sword out. Let's take the hovering practice for another seed. We will have plenty of opportunities more to be able to do this. Yeah. So Gem is actually this case. He's picked up the lamp from the map chest. Maybe we don't have spooky. I guess I'm not sure. Whatever had happened. But it's okay because Gem has been practicing his bomb spooky for the basement. Okay. Hope in this case it will work. It was very close. He gave it a very good, honest attempt. My understanding is that as long as I think the bomb lands on the same frame it explodes on the ferry, then it'll work. But don't hold me to this. Regardless, the switch was not hit, so we're just gonna go and do things, you know, kind of the old-fashioned way. All right, of course, Gem has the powder. He's gonna be able to at least powder his anti-fairy, get himself back to full health. He does also have another fairy waiting in the wings for him. Oh, no pun intended. This fight, I think, will be okay for Gem. It's only on Master Sword. We don't really have a cape or anything like that. He's able to just take as much, you know, damage as he can to being able to damage boost off of the slime, and which only does 1 heart of damage. And did a really nice job actually getting a bunch of coverage, you know, for the small eyes. And of course, he's got the bow for phase 2 and for any subsequent cleanup. So really well done on Gem side. Hey, look, it's our third pendant. How convenient. Okay, so we by process of elimination, we have figured out that the all remaining dungeons that are not pod and are not are not GT or Aga Tower are going to be crystals. Let me pat myself on the back, you know, for this. All right. Meanwhile, though, it looks like Korik is actually chasing Mitt's location, which is certainly very reasonable. You know, for him, he's going to do in this case Smith Chain. He has the mirror. These are also like very much guaranteed items, although they could be maybe not necessarily as high in terms of return on investments for the time per check. However, though, that is a very required big key. That is, well, I mean, everything's required in this game, but you know, that is certainly something that unlocks not only the big chest in GT, which I don't think actually we found GT yet, and it also unlocks the upstairs. So yes, like everyone eventually will have to do purple chest. It may just depend on whether or not you did purple chest at like on the earlier side or like when it was more appropriate versus kind of like last location, a completionist side. I'm very proud of Jem being able to take revenge on the mimics. Didn't even let him fire a single fire rod shot or fireball shot before he was able to. All right, so Jem coming in here into pod with so many pod keys is really obvious. It's certainly very good for him just because he's going to be able to get everything in one shot. Minus, of course, the big chest and the boss. But unfortunately, you know, at least it'll put him on, in this case, parity with Korik, just in terms of items retrieved from Palace of Darkness. Oh no, never mind. Sorry, he has the big key. My mistake, because he went back to Hype Cave afterwards. He's actually gonna get 13 out of 14. So it's actually gonna be so if the if something important here is in the big chest, then Gem will obviously have a good at least like a better better short term advantage being able to get that item. Because like the chance of Korra coming back here basically without the hammer is very, very small at this point. Meanwhile, though, Korek, finally making his way over to the Maya area with the flute, with the mitts. Yeah, and the mitts are kind of the other, I guess, like Korek's at least made advantage over Gem for at least like for the near term. Gem does have the fire rod, which is certainly oh man, I don't know if I wanted to see that. Okay, again, you know we need that. You know, and Gem having the flute, we're gonna be able to turn it in. I don't think we've had the potion. I don't think we found the potion shop yet, quite yet. But like right. Jem has the fire rod, which he got from Hype Cave, the same kind of trip that he got the pot big key from. But man, we need Jem to go over to the front of Turtle Rock in order to go get Roller Room, and the chance of him doing that, I'm not sure how likely that is. Because even though it is two items, it is probably not something that is very motivated. Like, he probably has other better things to do. That's kind of the main issue. Now, that being said, though, I'm not actually sure if there's anything that was. Well, okay, we know that GT Bicky off of Purple Chest was mitts locked, which certainly we still do need mitts. We just don't necessarily know if we need mitts like on the sooner side. There's certainly stuff behind mitts, so that probably does buy Gem a bit more time before he is becomes, I would say, like more inefficient. Then like the not having mitts will hurt him probably more so. But you know, again, he first needs to kind of get over there first. As hype cave. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks, Hugo. This is why Hugo and Solid are awesome because they actually keep track of everything. Ooh, all right. We actually gonna get some. Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh. All right. So we've got basically almost side by side sword pickups for Gem and Korek, but probably Gem more so because now the game is Omega playable on his side. Temper Sword is super comfortable. He and Korik has found in this case Eastern Palace. You know, we're home at least on Korik's side. He's gonna go pick up basically all of his nice stuff, and I think Armos dropped half magic and a pendant. Not sure if there was anything else that was really notable here at Eastern. We can basically see or follow up to what Korik has. Potion, I think, is certainly very nice in terms of safety. We have seen many times when Korik was in Dark World, Overworld, very pretty much on the verge of death. He even had to go pick up an extra heart, basically like floating island, or go pick up his sword. All right, using the fire rod though, yeah. So Gem, it's good to say actually Gem at least chasing fire rod lock stuff because that was probably one of the things that he ended up getting is his most like recent discoveries. Again, like so, okay, what are we kind of maybe looking for as part of our next set of items in terms of what we want for progression? Or we'll kind of open things a bit more. We are kind of see that Korik already chased a bunch of Midslock stuff, maybe necessarily to hasn't really opened up that much. We could use a hammer. That's probably another going to be one of those big things. We have defined in this case a lot of dungeons in this case. Like we haven't seen the dam because we definitely saw we saw at least swamp on gem side. I think we still need a swamp small according to both Solid and Hugo. So that being said, the first chest of swamp still could have something. It could actually be the swamp small. There's nothing precluding the logic or the randomizer basically from putting things in vanilla locations. This could be the swamp small right here on library. What is it? Oh. Okay, alright, okay, so we do have the back of Thieves Town. That is probably one of the more painful places to go back to, or to, because you really want to go there with both the hammer and the small key. The hammer can very much be in the back of Thieves Town for that matter. So, but you're not gonna know that, right? Just because, just like Jem didn't want to maybe go into Mire without the lamp or without the fire on. Once he got the fire, he's much more confident. But he didn't know that the lamp was just kind of sitting there, right? So we also do have a partially completable ice palace potentially without the hammer. We do not have the fire rod on both Gem and Korik's side. Gem does have tempered sword. Maybe how many times have we seen hammer and ice palace? How many times have we seen blank in blank dungeon? Like it's half meme, half truth, half something. Yeah, and I would say, right, when we just see, in this case, Korik and Gem both dig up their second and third swords, respectively, looks like Korik has still not found the Desert Palace small key, which is where Gem found his third sword. Well, speaking of, so now we have a two-sword discrepancy, which is the Mushroom Turn-In, and into the potion shop to give us our gold sword. Man, the Omega playableness lived up so quickly, and then now we've even upgraded even further. I'm thinking Jem may have wanted that gold sword for Vitreous. His Vitreous Master Sword fight was actually quite good. Pretty fast, very well done. His side. It's just that you just can't really beat a sword that has basically what 4x the attack power basically than the Master Sword. All right, Jem. Good on Jem for again remembering that we do have to go pick up the 10 arrows on Floating Island. Looks like we are potentially trying to think about what we want to go do next. Again, this is something that one of I think the biggest, at least like limiting factors for Jem here is he still does not have the mitts from Roller Room, which is in the front of Turtle Rock. Now, does he actually go all the way to the back into the front? This actually could be it. I mean, if it does, it'll give him his mitts, and then he might be a little sad because he didn't have the fire rod in order to go get it the first time when he was here. Uh, so at least that'll give him some more stuff to do. But that being said, though, we have not really seen any new entrances on Korik's side, like that were kind of like mislocked for Gem. It will certainly like still give him more stuff that he needs, right? Like GT Big on Purple Chest, give him to the Maya area. At least give him a lot more stuff to do. It's just I'm not sure in this case if that's going to be kind of like our next piece. It is not going to be the front of Turtle Rock, at least for Gem, from this entrance. Where does he want to go? Good on Korik, by the way. He didn't even scout this thing, He literally just jumped down because, again, this is something that you need. There is no time, there is no reason for you to waste your time trying to scout this item to see whether you want it or not, because the answer is yes. Okay, I think maybe Korik has already seen this. I'm really hoping the item. Oh no, he did. Yeah, yeah, that's right. This time with some game audio, that would be really, really appreciate it. But I mean, like, I know that Bonsai and Sigma and everyone are working like super, super hard behind the scenes here, and it's just really, I mean, when there are technical issues, like it can just be super frustrating and difficult. So really, I should do appreciate everything that everyone's doing behind the scenes and on the scenes for that matter. Oh my gosh, Hugo says we have audio on Twitch. Oh, see, this is why Bonsai and Sigma are awesome. Or maybe. I mean, they're awesome regardless. They don't have to, it doesn't necessarily because, they fix this. I mean, it also is great. Awesome. I'm glad that people are able to at least hear some out of game audio. All right. By the way, we did see Jam end up picking up the mitts on from Roller Room. That was, I mean, I don't. It's not exactly like quite his last location, right? Just because, he had other things that he could do, but in order to go get mitts in this case, does not feel very pleasant. Oh, that is still unfortunate. Okay. If only. The MSU that Jem is using is Fate Grand Order. He actually did make this himself, and it's actually quite nice to listen to. I really hope in this case that eventually that maybe some game audio come through. It's very nice of you to say. uh, I will certainly say that everyone here, Hugo, Solid, Bonsai, Sigma, like everyone involved here to actually make this broadcast happen. Like they're awesome. All right. Meanwhile, Kowick is finally gonna go get his tempered sword. I'm not gonna be, like okay, everyone's gonna be happy, getting tempered sword because you always want more swords. And I don't think necessarily he'll feel too bad missing the sword. What was the big key here, though? That might have been important. Oh, Meyer. Okay, he... Oh, no, I think he'll be fine. Because he can actually finish Meyer now, too. He will also have Tempered Sword versus Gem's initial Master Sword. So it'll actually be, very pleasant. Well, okay, pleasant might be an overstatement at this point. But at least it'll be something very, very familiar to him. He does know that the textbook NMG Tempered Sword fight that we'll probably see. All right, so it looks like Gem's gonna at least do the rest of the water checks. He has had these flippers for a bit. Oh no, maybe he'll just do. I don't know. The Ice Palace vanilla location. Right, I remember this. Unfortunately, no Light World fence dash for Kovrek. It's fine. It's only the Dark World one that counts. Ah, yes. This, you can always tell in this case when mirror bonkings, unfortunately they do happen, and it's surprisingly expensive actually how much time a mirror bonk costs. So like one mirror transition actually is right around, let's say like maybe a little under 5 seconds. And if you mirror bonk, well, it's like one mirror forward, one mirror back, right? So it's like 10, that's 10 whole seconds that you're just sitting there doing nothing. It's like, I don't know, for some reason you tell me it's like, oh, okay, it's only one mirror transition, it's only 5 seconds. That maybe doesn't seem too bad suddenly, but 10 seconds just seems like an eternity. So, if you can, try to figure out what all the mirror locations are, and maybe just like try not to block as much. It probably happens a lot more in entrance. It happens a lot more in inverted, especially inverted when people, like the Crosskeys especially, you get maybe more used to. Uh, Being able to like figure out, get more used to where the like where you can mirror in the dark world to go to light world, but when you have to go from the light world to the dark world, coupled with the fact that not a lot of people even play inverted to begin with, it can actually be quite trying at times. All right, so we're gonna see in this case Korek finishing up Meyer. We have still not found the Meyer compass. Again, we don't actually, we will need, obviously everything eventually because this is 216 mode. Just a very, minor thought was maybe we would have the compass, while we go clear out the dungeon, right? That would be, the best, at least like viewing, and playing experience. Because especially you go pick up a compass and you've already beaten the dungeon, you're kind of really not going to see any, I guess, like real value. And the compass is really very nice to be able to just have as a last reassurance, right? That yes, I did get everything, in this dungeon that I need to. I'm trying to actually remember if there was anything in the front of Meyer that Korik ended up getting out of Meyer that Gem like would have probably kind of like missed out on the first time because I mean, so for Korik to be able to go into Meyer early, I think it was actually very reasonable. Probably actually got a good call even, just because he had access so early, and the only things you probably really couldn't get were the big chest and then of course the boss. But I mean, like, because there was six free checks in here. But I think in this case, maybe by being able to not be a bit more, I don't know, like greedy or just delaying the Meyer check, I think Jem was actually able to just make things a little bit more efficient because he only needed one trip in. All right, this is it though. We're frantically searching for our hammer as Korik is finishing up Vitreous. Very nicely done. Yeah, nice zero cycle. Nice NMG textbook fight. Very well. Very happy to go see that. But yeah, it is a hunt for the hammer. We had so Jam right got his mitts, did a bunch of Mistlock stuff that looked very good, right? Very dense in terms of stuff, being available to him, right? All the Maya area. He did Smith Chain. I even did Ice Palace entry. And here we are again after mitts. We're still looking for the hammer. I think that'll probably at least get us a bit more access. And yeah, without the hammer, we can in fact be able to at least get part of Rice Palace. It may be a bit more tedious in order to try and get around everywhere. Like for example, we're gonna have to leave. At least we have some Aria. Like we can at least Icebreaker in, but we can't get certainly the map chest. We can't get the small key. Looks like Korik is following suit. Yeah, because when you see in this case both Gem and Korek in I would consider to be a very undesirable place to be without the hammer, you know that they pretty much just run out of stuff to go to. I mean, again, there is like the back of Thieves Town, but man, like I don't even think Korek has the small key even, so that's even like less appealing to him. Right, we saw Gem pick up the book from Compass Chest a little bit earlier. That is a Again, not a desirable item to go see, I guess. So we probably don't need a reed pedestal at this point because it's very much Hammerlock because Pod is our last pendant. Okay, let's see. I think we can get up to either tablet, maybe relatively painlessly, with the mirror, and we can actually just go like the vanilla way if we really want to, right? Flute to one, mirror up on Dark Death Mountain or on Dark Death Mountain, and then go up. Bombo's tablet. That is probably maybe less good to go after. I mean, you don't have the hammer for nice, easy Dark World access. I mean, Gem was in Village of Outcasts. You could have probably ran from there, but again, it's far. Oh right, and we ended to go to Desert Palace Big Key. So right, we have Desert Big Chest. We actually have Desert Landmos itself. Because I remember at least Korik and Gem both found the back of Desert, so that's going to be something. And they have that's right. They both have lamp, which is the important fire source in order to go beat Landmolus. They also have a bow, which is the most important weapon in order to go beat Landmolus with. So that is going to be something. Korik has no small key. Oh my gosh. Though. All right. Well, we have found our hammer. It is just sitting on. It is just quote unquote sitting on either tablet. So what a disgusting hammer. Oh, that is. So you had to go into the first chest of Ice Palace, and if you left early, you can at least get the book. Maybe you can get the book in a more timely manner, such that you were able to get either tablet, like maybe not as a one-off. But if you left though early, only got the first chest, like I don't think you would have gotten the Desert Palace Big Key. All right, but speaking of, we're almost there. So Korig's unfortunately gonna have to spend a little bit more extra time in Ice Palace because of no small key. But meanwhile though, Jem is he got his hammer. He's going to capitalize now on the other piece of value. At least we got in the front of Ice Palace, which is the Desert Palace Big Key. All right, I'm very interested in knowing what item he is going to use in order to beat the boss. He does have Gold Sword for what it's worth, which actually does do like rod damage, like fire rod or ice rod damage. And he's only going to do 2 slashes on Landmolus, but he better has switched over. This is all right. Good luck, Gem. Pretty decent first cycle, my opinion. All right, this is actually gonna look to be actually. If I think you just ended up not missing, I think as part of the first one. All right, well, okay, we got a little bit of a shortcut on the last one, but very well done. Very nice Bill Lamos on Gem's side. Exactly in this case, like what you like to see. All right, but that's gonna be. Hey, I think was a solid who said 47 minutes in. We have our first pendant or dungeon. So 1:30 on the on Gem's side, we have our first crystal. Huzzah! Only how many more dungeons we have left after this? Well, I'm not. I think these numbers are too big for me. So we'll just have to go with them, one by one. All right. So it makes a lot of sense there for Jem. He's gonna chase. Well, obviously, so the hammer certainly has opened up a ton more stuff. Um, and we actually do see because the hammer was in this case book locked. It is a required double dip of Ice Palace. Granted, it is only the first chest, and I will say that there are going to be entrance runners that are more like, especially in probably Kovrik's situation, they're willing to do just the first chest and that's it. It doesn't actually look like there was anything that was hard locked by Lamelas. We'll see in this case if something was important here in Desert Big Chest. But in this case, like if you got the book, you can get the hammer early, and then you can eventually go back to Ice Palace. Not going to be too big of a deal. All right, and we actually do have bombos, which is kind of interesting. I don't. Man, did we come out of the Mire area, or did we come out of the Mire vanilla entrance? Because that it looks like it is bombos according to Solid and Hugo. So that is going to be something, but I think it's going to be a relatively quick check for if they still need that entrance, basically. Thankfully, when we talk about Crosskeys being completionist mode for 216, we do not have to get every entrance. That would be, we might be here for 4 hours at that point. It's just only the items and then the bosses. All right, Cowork is actually doing his due diligence. Again, this is something that you do need. Man, it's probably not gonna get actually much faster than what where he was kind of now because again, like in non-interest especially, you want to try and combine it with your swamp palace dip. That being said, I don't think we've already checked that area out, and I think that was probably the only real thing left in for him to do is Bombo's tablet. So. Meanwhile, though, Jem with his Thieves Down small key, and now finally the hammer, which is pretty much like the bottleneck of the seed, at least so far for this completionist the seed. He can actually go back to Thieves Town, full confidence that he can be able to clear out this place. At least so far from Jem's routing and or maybe like sequence of items. Maybe outside of the myths, in terms of dungeons, Gem was actually able to be, I think, just a little bit more efficient. Single dipping Eastern, which Kovrik also did. He got to single dip Mire. We got to we're gonna be he found everything to do kind of the Thieves Down versus. Oh no, Kovrik has a small key too. Okay, that's also good. So okay, both of them will be able to finish up this dungeon. Pod is. Ugh. Man, well, we can finish a pod now, but I think it's very difficult to maybe not. certainly at least two trips into pod looked like it was going to be on the table. To avoid that third trip in though, because pod was so early in terms of discoverability, you would probably at least want to go in once, and then you got so many keys so quickly that, and the bow, right, and the big key. It's just very tempting in order to go back there, especially when you didn't have very much done in pod to begin with, like kind of a gem situation. And how many times have we just seen the hammer in pod, right? Like that's very understandable. All right, so we still need something that will get us more entrances because we did see in this case that the myths didn't really lock at least like too much in terms of more places we can go. So where haven't we what dungeons in this case haven't we found? We haven't found Hera yet. We have not found well, we found Swamp Palace, but we haven't found the Swamp Small yet. We have not found probably the bigger one, which is GT. And of course, keep in mind that we do need the entirety of the basement plus the climb, because that is 27 items. I don't know if we have the compass to GT or not. I want to say yes, but I guess we're gonna see once we get inside the dungeon. Again, one of the best things, especially for larger dungeons, is to be able to count along with you. More typically speaking, in non-entrance especially, well, sorry, in like key sanity non-entrance, it's very common to see the like 26 out of 27 by the time you get up to GT because you just skip out on the torch. Do not, if that happens to you here, panic. Very much so, and then go back for the torch. Yeah, solid. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We have not found the dam. That's actually another entrance that we do need in order to beat Swamp Palace. We have found Castle Tower. I certainly do remember that early. We also do not have a second Castle Tower key that we, of course, certainly still do need to find because, well, this is this is 216. We have to go kill Aga. Oh, okay, 216. All dungeons. We do have to go kill Aga one. All right. Meanwhile, though, Korik is on his scripted blind fight. It's fine. Everything's fine. We have health to spare. So yeah, with the hammer, we are just trying to clean up every single thing that was hammerlock that we had to leave behind. Oh, okay. To answer your question, kits. So completionist here requires maybe a little bit more in entrance in this particular case than normal, but completionist means we need 216 out of 216. So if you can see the counter in the upper right hand corner, right now it says 159 out of 216 for gem and 154 out of 216 for Korik. These guys need to get to all 216 items. So every single item literally in the game they have to go pick up. Desert Ledge, for example, Dig Game, all the stuff that you might just kind of gloss over or write off, you will need in a dungeon to, all the other normal stuff that you would like to go pick up. With entrance specifically, at least for this particular setting, we actually do require all dungeons. And the reason why we do that is you have to go beat all the bosses. For example, the scenario being that if, let's say, useless fairies behind GT and Aga 2, you still have to go beat Aga 2. Like, you can't just, like, stop, basically, after Moldorm 2. Very, like, minor, like, kind of, like, additional subtle, but I think I kind of like that in the sense that you're still, doing quote-unquote everything in the game, right? But yeah, thankfully though, in interest, you don't have to go find like every connector or anything like that, or like every every useless every fairy fountain and all that stuff. I think that would be too much. All right, Helmosaur down for gem. That is actually the third pendant in this particular case. Which means that we are going to get two more items out of this. We're going to get the green pendant turn-in from Saha, which they of course did find very early, and we're going to be able to get a pedestal check, which is very convenient actually because we're going to be able to pull it right now from Lostwood side on Gem side. It is Ped, that's right. Get your Ped excitement in chat for what could be on the pedestal. I know that Gem does have a book. There will be severe consequences if he reads the thing first. For multiple reasons, but also because this is completionist, you know you're going to need this item. There is no reason for you to spend extra time reading the pedestal. Ooh. It is the red boomerang. All right, so that's actually one of our first two boomerangs. Actually, pretty good use for what it's worth. I understand we do have the hook shot, so we don't necessarily need like a stun prize. But if we're gonna go clear out GT, which if we do find before, well, let's say in this case the other blue boomerang, is gonna make at least the basement just a bit more efficient. There are a lot more strats that you can use with the boomerang. Even the red one, in order to make your life easier in the basement, you can also use it in Hera. And there are lots and lots of boomerang strats basically that it's a nice quality of life upgrade. Hey, look, we're back into ice. Yeah, man, I'm just trying to think, like, how many dungeons have we basically had to go do, because of the hammer, Pod for sure. Thieves Town, in the back of Thieves Town, because it was hammer locked, or at least the big chest. We had to go do Ice Palace. You can actually see in this case, we talk about Jem's. Well, I mean, I think his reputation certainly precedes him a bit, but probably Jem's execution is well, one of the best, like if not, the best. I would say like in the world probably at this point. He has been practicing a lot, or he's been playing a lot certainly. You can actually really tell how much he works on his gameplay, and the fact that he's basically just like tearing up all of these dungeons like extremely quickly and efficiently, right? I mean, like yeah, like I think in this seed, everyone's gonna basically kind of last locate their hammer to some extent, but the like his speed and rate at how Gem is clearing out all of the dungeons is actually really, really crazy. How fast he is. Yeah, all right. Yeah, thanks, Hugo. No, yeah, that's right. We actually did see the last big key that I think was outstanding, which is the Turtle Rock big key. So that's gonna be another thing that Gem's gonna be able to just do. And it looks like actually for what it's worth, with if you only came here for the book earlier for in Ice Palace, no get your hammer. Um, yeah, you'll go pick up the Desert Palace big key, which is it just looks like you didn't have to necessarily do it on your first trip in. Speaking of both, so okay, so Korik's gonna go pull the pedestal. He's gonna go get his red boomerang. And then presumably he's gonna follow very similar to in this case like what Gem is doing or has done. We can see the power of the gold sword. We don't. I mean, we talk about 6 slash needed for cold stare if you have tempered sword. There's a reason why the gold sword is locked behind the cold stare in the vanilla game, because you see we only needed 3 slashes on using gold sword. So it's certainly a bit more overpowering than maybe intended. Oh my gosh. Look at another thing that is hammerlocked here in the Village of Outcasts. We have actually found the dam. So, okay, it really did look like in this case the bottleneck was really this hammer. I mean, very again, understandable because no one wants to go into Ice Palace. And if you end up were one of the people who made the very fortunate decision to go in just for the book and then leave, you probably could have like the sea could have turned out for you very, very differently if you had the early hammer. All right. So that being said, we the dam was certainly a requisite. Is it going to be enough to push Gem to do Swamp Palace? We only have the first chest available, so ideally, of course, we would like to go in with our Swamp Small. I think it would be extremely rude of the game in order to put the Swamp Small key in this vanilla location. Um, that being said, it can still happen. But until then, Gem does have other things it could do. For example, we're here in the back of Skull Woods. Looks like we actually do have all 3 keys, 2 out in the wild and 1 in the pinball room, which was, in this case, it's always fixed there, to be a small key there for entrance purposes. So, I mean, fully in logic, does that actually matter too much completionist? That's pretty debatable. But Gem has this to do. He has Turtle Rock to beat. He can still do, like he has a lot of places left to go to try and find the Swamp Small. All right, Korik. We are here on in Desert Palace after being basically finished up kind of like his he's just part of doing his own set of dungeon rushing at this point. This is not strictly hammer locked because we did not need the hammer. It was just kind of in the front of Ice Palace. That was not prohibited by the hammer. That being said, we are here after turning the mushroom, pretty much on the same equipment that Jem was here earlier. You know, we have gold sword, we do have the lamp, we do have the bow. Thankfully, we have the correct bow. I am a bit All right. Okay. I guess in this case, we do have. We're gonna get some more diverse content. You know, on Korik's side, looks like he is opting to use fire arrows as opposed to just regular arrows. That, despite his file name, is not representative basically of this fight. But it is still fine. You know, we ended up getting Lambos down, and that's why we have half magic, just in case something goes wrong. All right. Gem on Trinex. Again, I mean, just like the hammer had just locked so many things. While the hammer did not lock Trinex itself, it did lock the Turtle Rock Big Key, which was in one of the dungeons that we that we were just in like 5 minutes ago. All right, nicely done on Gem side. Again, I mean, so I don't want to take for granted, any of the stuff that. Oh my gosh! All right, so the seed actually is just once you find the hammer, it really just does look like basically a very, I would say, like linear path so far. Go finish up the rest of your dungeons because it seems like a lot of more stuff at least is on the way. So okay. In terms of items that are still left, in terms of that still we need for access. This I believe should be it, right? We only thing we needed right now was Swamp Palace, and we are going to be able to clear all 10 items here in one go, which is like again, it's a completionist dream. Like you, especially for Swamp Palace, this is not a place that you necessarily want to go back to. Oh, but we still need a castle tower key. That is for sure. So we actually probably but like we have 10 locations in Swamp. Surely it will show up, and we also do have GT, potentially depending on what else kind of opens up. Right, Big Keto Tour Rock here at Ice Palace. Right, that was the hammerlock part because we definitely needed those pegs down in order to get the map chests. All right, and of course, okay. So Jem's gonna finish up Swamp Palace. There's no debate here for whether or not we do left side or not. We are, of course, always going to be able to do it. That being said, I'm okay. I'm going to see what Jem does in terms of how he ends up clearing out this place because we know we need left side for sure. I want to say with Specky, there might be some, like we might end up going to the back first and taking the trench one key first, and then coming back into swamp and doing left side, or we'll just do it left side like straight up. I guess we'll see. Because okay, he's gonna pick up the key, which tells me he's gonna go do Specky clip, go to the back, and then come back in with that key. Which makes me wonder, or not. Oh no, no, we're just gonna sit. No, sorry. Okay, never mind. We're just gonna go take the key and just use it directly from the back. Okay, so that key, I guess, pickup is gonna be faster than the trench two pot key for sure. All right, we have the old cold stare fight on gold sword on Korik's side as well. Very nice for him probably to turn in the mushroom on the sooner. I know it's not even that soon, but at least he got it. Turned in and got gold sword basically before all of the bosses. Which I mean, granted, yes, like tempered sword, he's very familiar. Everyone, I think, in this, especially in this field, is probably pretty accustomed to using at least tempered sword. But it's certainly like the gold sword just kind of makes you essentially you can just go on autopilot. All right, yeah. So this is also Dan for Korik. We're kind of seeing Korik just kind of following a little bit in, at least in Jem's footsteps so far. He may not feel so great in this case about last locating. Right, on Korik's side, he was pretty late to get to the Pearl. which was a bit unfortunate. But I mean, yeah, this is Crosskeys, so you can, if you decided to, out of the 15 coin flips that you did, you just, if only even one of them maybe did not go in your favor, it can certainly be quite a long time until you get like the thing that you want. And to some extent, that kind of also happened on Gem's side as well when he kind of last located those mitts in Roller Room. He probably felt kind of like a little bit bad about it. And then of course both of them ended up, getting the book out of Ice Palace first, first chest, and then that led to the hammer, and now everything is pretty much just falling into place. Yeah. So as we're kind of seeing, Gem finishing up Swamp Palace in the front at least. Korik is doing his own set of dungeon rushing. So after this, yeah, we're gonna be pretty much on. Okay, so after Skullwoods, Korik still needs to do Trinex. And then at least, and then I think probably within that time, Gem will most likely be done with Swamp Palace. So, okay, so it'll be probably a two-ish boss difference. Plus, I guess, like, a full clear out of Swamp Palace. Gem's having a little bit of trouble here with Samaria Diver down. We're just gonna do it on the left side, which is fine too. I guess maybe I can ask him what, like, if it's still faster to do it on the left side, because you still need both chests. You still have to go back over to the right side, but maybe it doesn't make enough of a difference. Oh my gosh, we finally have armor. Amazing. So at check 178, we finally have blue mail. I mean, probably at this point with 14 hearts, and however many safeties, potion, fairy, they're probably like fine. They don't need this. But I guess it's it's nice to have. And for the record, like because it's 216, we're Ganon is going to be we're gonna have red mail, mirror shield, silvers, gold sword, 20 hearts, assuming you've played the mode correctly. Really nice zero cycle there from Gem side. Followed up with a maybe less than great phase 2. That stupid fire rod. Hey, speaking of mirror shield. That is at least something that Korik still has to do. These are going to be kind of like one-offs and straggler things in completionist mode, because you do know you have to eventually go turn these things in. Maybe it just depends on these like very more, I would say, like minor things. Overworld travel, yeah, the flute does mitigate it a little bit, just because we can always flute to 7, we can flute to 8, we can shortcut a lot of stuff. It's like the overworld travel certainly still can it you can still kind of, in this case, be more efficient or, gain time or lose time to your opponents. All right, so nice to see in this case. Yeah, so Gem and Co are kind of following similar veins. We've got some good amount of cleanup doing in South Shore. So we ended up doing getting the dam item, or sorry, the drained item from this. We're gonna do the Spike Cave. Co ended up turning in the green pendant as well. We do have the blue boomerang now, so maybe it depends on what you like to pick as your weapon of choice for GT basement clearing. So this is going to be Korek's last dungeon that, at least from right now, his current vantage point, he's going to be able to do. And we know that we saw on Gem's side that the Swamp Small was dropped from Trinex, so that's going to be kind of his next destination. All right, so what? Okay, we have not seen this. Yeah, I think this was brought out earlier. Yeah, by Hugo, or confirmed by Hugo at least, is that we could not get into this entrance because Desert Palace Big Key locked Bombos, which was which is the entry to this entrance, and it is required. I mean, everything is required, but yes, like this one, very much so. This entrance is Hera, so we're gonna be able to do Hera basement. And we're gonna do at least like and we're gonna do big chest. We're gonna do everything here, and we have a very nice, convenient compass to count along with us. So when you defeat Moldorm, you can always look up, and as long as you see 6 out of 6 when you're done, you can go away a happy Link. All right, that is crystal number something for Korik. His next dungeon. I'm not sure if it's easier to subtract or add at this point to figure out what crystal number that is for Korik. Uh, but he is making, you know, he's making really good, you know, steady progress basically towards his goal. Probably after all of the stuff, you know, after we're kind of nearing like the 2 hour mark, right, for Crosskeys. Um, I think especially for experienced and veteran runners, 2 hours is, you know, still where you're, you know, I would say like going strong, you know, you're not feeling necessarily too fatigued. You know, for these guys, I certainly don't expect them to be, you know, really all that tired. I mean, look, it's red mail. Because I mean, we don't have like that much game left to play, but we still have a good amount of game to play. This is also another thing about completionist mode is that you know at the end of when you go fight Ganon, right? It's probably going to be one of the easiest like fights that you will have, just because you will have literally every single item in the game, because that's how Ganon becomes uh, invincible as opposed to invincible. That being said, it would be kind of nice if, you know, things showed up earlier. Like some things showed up earlier than later. You know, you always want like an earlier sword. You can still be stuck on swordless or maybe like fighter's sword for the majority of the game, because they don't have to necessarily show up until, you know, until the end. You could be at very low health. Cowork will just do the basement right now. It's fine. We doesn't matter what order we'll do it in, you know. But this is the kind of the danger of doing Harapot with this setup when you have the small key, because you can actually just accidentally open the door and then, you know, you're in the basement. Yeah, and being able to have, let's say, early like armor would be convenient, especially given like the seed we had pretty early mirror. And of course, like being completionist mode, there has been some debate, or at least some murmurings of, probably in this mode more particularly, is to be able to start with some sort of speed. Like in this seed, in this particular one, we saw boots were pretty early, so long as you, as in not logically, because it was still lamp locked, and the lamp was kind of locked by the hook shot in this case, because the old man had the boots. But people were still able to get boots, so maybe it's like okay, right? But in general, boots don't have to show up for, you know, ever, right? Like boots could have been where red mail was, for example, and you would have been very, very sad if you had to basically wait like 180 checks just for speed. So at least starting with pseudo boost, I think, is a very, very nice like compromise at the very least, so the game doesn't take forever. Oh yeah, these guys are loaded to the teeth, except for, well, I guess our teeth are still enamel. They're not gold cupped yet or silver cupped yet, but they will show up. Don't worry. They will have silvers before Ganon at least. And if they don't, they will be searching for silvers until they find them, because for this completionist mode, we need all 216. All right, okay. So Hugo thought maybe GT is vanilla at this point. It could be. What's here? Hey, look, it's a vanilla GT. Amazing. Oh wow. Well then, not intentional, but hey, look, we have silvers. All right, not intentional, of course, by any means. This just kind of happens to be how the randomizer rolls. Oh no, I do appreciate it. Thanks. And oh my gosh, Jem, like I think Korik also has this as well, as he finishes up Moldorm with, of course, a very pristine 6 out of 6 counter in the in the at least Hera Compass counter. Yeah, we have a GT counter that's going to help us count along for every single check that we have in GT Basement. And yeah, Hugo also rightly pointing out, I believe like the only thing that we're actually looking, you know, again, this is completionist tracking, Solid and Hugo. I mean, like they have to click everything, literally everything in, you know, in the game for this. And the only thing that we really need right now is a Castle Tower small key. Just like regular Crosskeys, you know. That is one of our very commonly found ice rods. We're still gonna have to force go get it. I'm having a little bit of trouble here on the right side GT, but it's fine. Very minor time loss, and we're actually seeing in this case the power of the silvers. Everything pretty much dies in. Every We should have killed the other Gibdo. Oh no. Okay. I think it's Gem is too overpowered here. He has all this extra equipment he doesn't know what to do with. All right, so we actually do see that because Jen came in with three GT, sorry, four GT small keys. He doesn't even need the one in the okay, conveyor pots, star pits key, whatever that one is right after compass room. I think I forgot the exact the formal name of it. It's something to that effect. It's like Chris, it's like cross conveyor cross pit star key. But basically, so long as you never open the middle door, you should be fine basically without that key, especially coming in with so many. All right, yeah, we are actually kind of seeing the consequence in this case of, well, we can't just mirror out of Stalfos room because the skeletons, because, well, we have to kind of keep going in GT. And we actually see why people sometimes go directly to Stalfos room and have the mirror and then mirror over to like Hope room because killing those Stalfos can be quite tedious. Whether or not you have beams or not, but you also have like the fireballs shooting at you, the Stalfos moving and jumping. I think it's very prudent of Gem to just use Ether Medallion, so he doesn't have to go track them down. All right, Korik is finishing up left side swamp. The only decision you can make that will hurt you in completionist is to, again, not do something. Big kudos to both Gem and Korik, probably also the rest of this field as well, is to just, again, remember that you have to go pick up everything. This will go absolutely against your muscle memory for Desert Torch, nice Compass of Thieves Town, like checkerboard cave, go in, you see it's 5 rupees, you gotta fight the urge to just walk straight out, you can't, you have to go pick up everything. The hardest part is being able to keep probably some bookkeeping, is like if you are getting to the end, like you think in this case, what do we have left? We have GT left, and then we have Castle Tower. If the number of checks you have left does not add up to 216, you are pretty much panicking for the rest of the game to try and figure out what one or whatever number of items that you have missed are. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, on gem side, we need 9 more checks. I'm trying to. What is? Okay, I think there's something behind GT, which is maybe 1 more check. Let's go with that, and then we can, and then gem, and then I think right. So when we have 1 more check in Castle Tower for gem, and then the rest of GT. Hopefully, it'll be enough. All right, there is our Castle Tower key. It is pretty much just like the, vanilla quote unquote big key GT something. That's the chest we care about. Ah, yes. Kit. To right. You can. So the only items that are counted for are stuff in the chests. So like pot keys, for example, they're still all vanilla and they don't count towards your total or anything like that. So yes, like they can absolutely skip like the small key in Star Pit's conveyor cross pot key or whatever it was. Basically the one like after Rando Room or after Compass Room in GT. Also good observation. We are super super rich. On Gem side, Kovrik somehow has much. He almost twice, half as much money. Maybe there were a bunch more like 300s or something in GT. I don't actually think Kovrik actually bought anything extra that Gem didn't. Oh, he did buy 1 potion in a random potion shop that was basically had refilled his health. Oh, thanks, Solid. Oh my gosh, yeah, very keen observation. Actually, very nice difference between, yeah. So Kovrik, as confirmation, what got the mirror shield on the green pendant turn in, from Sahasrara, and Gem very evidently does not have the mirror shields in this case. Right. Yeah. So it looks like actually, so long as Jeff remembers to go turn in that green pendant, which if he's been doing a good job record keeping, again, this is probably one of the things that are more emphasized in completionist mode, then like it would be great because he's basically just on a path to finish up. If he doesn't, I don't know how you're supposed to track some of this stuff. Like some things are probably easier than others. In order to go back and find, like, if you're missing, let's say, like a 5 item cave somewhere, right? Maybe you can just try and check entrances because surely if you miss that many things, you probably have missed a whole region or something. But if it's just like a one-off thing, yeah. Well, we'll see. We have full faith in John to be able to keep track of something like this. Or if he can't, then he can. He has some bot scrub and he's got to go do. All right, Kilrick has ended up finding his own way to GT as well. I'm not actually sure if there's like a more, let's say, efficient way of clearing out the basement if you do need everything. I'm just gonna assume that pretty much everything is just here because you have to do both sides, right side and left side. So this is actually probably the more efficient way to do it. You basically do all right side and then you go back and do all left side. And yeah, there's not much you can do to kind of speed things up a bit in tile room, other than maybe trying to kill out that last tile as like basically yeah, as soon as it appears for you. That's kind of it though. All right, well, Jeb has made his way actually, on a very very nice gauntlet climb and upper GT. And you can see in this case, before we got trapped in the door and locked ourselves in with Aga 2, we have the best 27 out of 27 items here in GT. Exactly what you want to see. When you see 26, go back and hopefully before you end up leaving this dungeon. All right, nice recovery on Aga 2. We're just gonna be off the pyramid and right. I think yeah, so as Sala and Hugo both have pointed out, Jem needs the last chest in Castle Tower, the second one, and then he needs the green pendant turn in to go get his mirror shield from Sahasrahla. Actually pretty convenient in terms of efficiency, right? At least here, because he is gonna be right on the pyramid. I assume he can just walk down a bit, mirror, right? And then turn in this green pendant. I think green pendant was front of Hyrule Castle. Yeah, this is actually really nice for Gem. Maybe compared to because I think Korik ended up coming here as a one-off, and certainly a bit more efficient for Gem to just basically walk down a little bit and mirror. Yeah, yeah. So, oh man, this is 14. Okay, 14 plus 1 is 15. At least the numbers are small enough for me to be able to do math, on stream without making terrible embarrassment. Yeah, so he will have 215 out of 216 by the time he finishes GT. And then he has not found the Castle Tower small key yet, but he certainly does know in this case that that's going to be his last check. So so Korik has done, and both Jam have done a very excellent job of making sure that they did not skip anything. That was important. All right, that is beautiful. I do believe that there's the third member of at least Team Watch for League, Act the Boker. It is if you've seen his either like Discord or stream avatar, it actually has a nice 216 on there. Very very fitting, I think. Got some nice team camaraderie going. But that's exactly the kind of number that you want to see at the very end when you've completed your goal, which means that Ganon is now in fact vulnerable, and probably more of a mental comfort than anything else. You have done everything that you needed to, and you did not end up forgetting anything. Okay, yeah. So okay, how bad was the seed from a player perspective? Maybe if you gone into Ice Palace for the first chest and gotten the book like early, then it would not have been It looked like it would not have been too bad because then you would have gotten your hammer earlier, presumably when you were kind of like up on the mountain area, and then like the rest of the game just kind of goes for you. I will say that Korek certainly did have an earlier advantage because he decided to go up to Hyrule Castle area right kind of after the like initial whatever like Lake Hylia fortune and shop area. He got his mirror pretty early, and then he actually got his early sword from Paradox because he was able to sequence break out the bottom entrance. Versus Gem, unfortunately, was not able to because he didn't get the mirror until a little bit later. And so he kind of missed out, I would say, on that early sword for a bit. I mean, it didn't like hurt him all that much logically or anything like that. It just probably was much improved quality of life if he had an earlier sword. Now that being said, though, that fire rod was not, super easy to go get. I mean, I guess you might consider it a Crosskeys or like entrance, gotcha. Like in the sense that if you didn't know as a bunny that you were able to talk to an NPC, that's within logic, you might have been missing out on that fire rod for quite some time. And you might think, oh well, it's just hype cave. You found the entrance. Like, why wouldn't you go talk to the guy? Like, if you think it's not in logic or you're not supposed to be there, like why would you spend the extra time and basically walk all the way up, right? Basically for nothing. So long as those things kind of and we actually did see on Jum's side, not having that fire rod early, also well as a consequence because he found Turtle front before the fire rod, and he had Samaria. I mean, well, did he last locate those myths? I mean, maybe not technically because he still had Ice Palace, like without the hammer to explore. But yes, it was pretty. Yeah, it was very very late for him. Okay, have I stalled long enough to get past all the blue balls? It looks like I haven't because Gem is still fighting. Hugo is counting. Thank you, Hugo, for for tracking this. I cannot believe it was okay. 8 blue balls for the gang. Oh wow, it's that's a lot. Whose idea was it to require Aga one? No, no, no. All jokes aside. All right. Very convenient though still, just like in regular like key sanity, all dungeons, whatever, if you can beat Aga 2 or Aga 1 basically right before, dropping down to vanilla Ganon, probably the easiest and fastest and probably you also get as we saw on Jump Side a full health refill too, right? Not that I think he probably needs at this point because he already had a bunch of health and we have gold sword, red mail, silvers, right? Like this should be um probably. I don't even. Maybe Jen doesn't even know how to do this fight because he's never here on this kind of equipment. All right, we're almost there on jump side. Going through. All right, so Aga apparently gave us 8 blue balls, which. How many warps are we gonna go get? Maybe not that many. We're almost done for phase 3 though. And then we just have to get, looks like 3 more shots for. Okay, this is gonna be a triple? Maybe? All right. Nice triple at the very end. And that is going to be sword up for Gem. So get your GGs out in chat for at least Gem finishing. He's going to finish relatively soon. In this case, let's take a look as to what his final placement is in the group race. I think it was 8 people. All right, looks like Gem actually finished with a 2:12:18. That is good enough for 3rd place. All right, we have actually a first place finisher off screen, which is Humbug. You might know him from, let's say, #1 seed from the main tournament, also still in league this year as part of Team Bagog. Crazy good person, both in terms of character and also racing ability. And then 2nd place was Telethar, coming in at 2:11:14. All right. We are also joined here by at least the winner of today's restream, Jam. How's it going?
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going okay.
Yeah.
There was a
Okay.
nasty little bug there.
Yeah,
Dare I say?
yeah. I mean, okay. Like, I don't think you had the ability or you had the option of going into Ice Palace when you first found it. But if you had the fire rod, would you have gone in at the time?
Probably. I don't know. It's hard to say, but usually, I think at least dipping the first chest in ice isn't such a bad idea when you find it in entrance. I assume that's what Tambak did with his finish time.
That is also what I have to assume. Like, so there were probably a couple points of potential traps, I guess, in this season. So I think the other one, I guess, is I don't know how bad you felt about getting mitts when you did after Fire Rod. I didn't actually know how. I'm hoping maybe you had too bad, but I mean, like nothing really was locked behind the mitts like that you needed immediately, right? Because ultimately, it was still you still had to go back to Ice Palace, I guess.
Yeah, at first I felt great because I was like, yeah, nice. I avoided dipping ice and thieves without hammer. Surely these mids will just lead me to it, and then I can avoid those double dips. And then the mids just gave me nothing at all, just only fairy fountains. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think after the hammer, everything. I mean, I'm not even sure if you had any more decisions at that point to make. You just rushed all the hammer lock locations and dungeons, and then you were done pretty much.
Yeah, it was a little. I don't know. I felt a little nervous because like I had exactly figured out like the three, or well, the two hammer locked and the one bombos locked. Locations had to be Hera, Scarwoods, and the Dam, and then GT had to be Vanilla. But then I was like the entire time I was a little bit scared. Like, what if I mistracked an entrance and then one of these isn't what it's supposed to be?
That is,
um,
yeah, I can understand. I
yeah,
can certainly understand that.
but yeah, it worked out.
Did you feel bad at all, out of curiosity, like when you got the mirror? That was like I think another. I mean, that was like a very
Mhm.
early coin flip decision. I mean, so like Korik actually ended up. So you guys actually had the same start, like opening. You guys went to like Highlight Island, like shop area, and then he went north. And then where did you go? You went somewhere else that was not north,
All the way to
south.
EP
Yeah.
for
Oh
Boots
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Walkman as
Uh
my
huh.
literal first check.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, like you went back. So what Korik ended up getting was like because of the mirror, he was able to sequence pick up Paradox from the bottom.
Mhm.
Like, and then he got Paradox. Like with this one bomb, he bought bombs, and then he got his sword early. I think that was kind of like one of the only or like major advantages I think he had early. But I think you were swordless for I don't know, like 40 minutes or something like that, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty long. My first one was in Desert Right Side. Somewhere. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I figured I was kind of late to the mirror and the sword and possibly also the moon pearl. Because when I was on Death Mountain the first time, I couldn't get the bottle, and then I found Sickit without a bottle.
Right. Oh yeah. So that's actually so I think it actually did look like Kovac had a pretty like nice at least like early and mid game, but then he was just very late to that pearl, which you got pretty much immediately. Like you got a bottle and then you went to Sickid, you straight back over and then you got your pearl and then you just started going from there.
Yeah, that's got all moon pearl and at some sort of item turn into the Dark World.
Yeah, yeah, and so
That's
actually,
always
Kovac actually
fun.
found the fire. Like he found Hype Cave and he got a fire rod early, so he had the opportunity to go into Ice Palace, but he didn't. So, but I
Oh,
think, but
okay.
yeah, but when you found it, and Hype, you found it with the pearl, right? And then, but you had found Turtle front before fire rod, and so I was,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I found everything before the fire rod. Mine was super late and kind of hurt.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any aspirations to try and wait for a pod? Like to try and wait out for the big key before going back in, because
Yeah,
you had
that's why I
so
waited for so
okay,
long. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
but a bit.
I saw that I had 4 small keys, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to delay it to at least have the big key. And then I found the big key, and then I rushed it, and then like in my head I was gonna clear it and then go straight to pedestal, but then like as I was clearing pod, I realized I didn't have the hammer yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. I
so
see.
so it probably wouldn't have changed anything because after the wiki there were just 10 items there that I could get, most of them in logic, and it just felt time to go there. There wasn't really anything good left open anyway, so I don't think it changed anything, but I did have this stupid realization I don't actually have the hammer yet while I was going through pod.
Oh, I see. I see. I hope you weren't too tilted by the fact that you could not get the Bullock side the first time. That was kind of
No,
that was like
I
a
thought
that
that
was
was
a
really funny. I just laughed. That was kind of funny. That I just ran into that
okay.
fireball and died.
I didn't even think that he was gonna shoot anything, but I guess I forgot that you were like dashing, and then yeah, you didn't have enough health at that point.
Well, it's kind of funny too because I was like intentionally not picking up more hearts because I wanted to death warp out of there, and then I did death warp, but a little early.
Yeah. But thankful at least you didn't have to like, well, you didn't miss out on anything basically. So
Yeah, I was a bit relieved. Like what I was most scared of was there being the hammer there when I
oh
returned.
oh yeah,
And
actually that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. I forgot the hammer could still be over there. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So after 8 blue balls of Aga, that's a fun fight, right?
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. And yeah. So that and after Korik is done with Ganon, so get your GGs out for Korik finishing actually fourth place. Pretty much almost a 7 minute difference, which is 2:19:29. This was a well. Okay, is this a long seed for Crosskeys? I feel like this could actually be shorter than some of the seeds that you can get in Crosskeys.
Yeah, I think so. If the hammer was like somewhere free along the way, this would have been pretty damn fast.
Mm-hmm. Yo,
And
correct?
but yeah, it's
Oh, sorry.
yeah, correct.
Yo, correct, GG's.
Hey, GG's.
Peace, dude.
Sorry about. Well, okay. Maybe I'll ask you where you thought the bottlenecks of the seed or your progression was. You did really well to get the mirror, and then the sequence got a sword. Like you had a really good like early game start.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like things were really good until the pearl, but then that was pretty bad, and then the hammer. But those were the big things, I think. So pretty big things though. Yeah,
I think
it was like almost last location hammer, I guess. Yeah, I could have sequence broken into ice and gotten the first chest at some point. That kind of was hoping after the fact that was what I would have done, but I didn't. So
that's probably what Hamburg did.
But yeah, I mean,
I
don't know. Like, I felt really good about getting the glove, how I did it, like as early as I got it, and then it's like, well, you didn't even have to do that to get the pearls, so it's like, okay, and then you could have just got it the other way. So it's like, well, all right, so none of that actually mattered. That's cool.
it was actually pretty interesting because like you guys got your first glove separately. Like so, your first glove was Roller Room, Korik, and then Jem's first glove was Thief Down.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
like it was like I thought getting that glove was going to be the like what got you to Pearl. Like that's what that's why I was like, I'm like, man, that's awesome. Like I found that sequence and I got this glove and I can like because it opened up a lot too, but it was just no, you just have to bunny walk a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the fire rod gave you the best shot at least because when you found Ice Palace, yeah, like you had the fire rod, but I guess yeah, you technically had no pearl because you didn't go north yet. But yeah, like if you had sequence break-in, just at least in the very first chest, it would have been I think quite a different story for you because everything after Hammer was pretty straightforward, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it just I think that at the time that I came out in the top of the Village Outcast, I had already gotten the glove or something. Like I had like a lot of better things to do, so I just didn't want to walk around as a bunny that much. Like because I definitely had a lot of light world stuff that was unchecked at that point from my progression. So and that I guess the same thing goes for Ice Palace. It's like you could sequence rate the first chest there, but I just had so much better to do that I just didn't want to. So yeah, it's how it goes sometimes.
Was there any consideration to going to the back of these down without the hammer?
It's not
At
without
all?
the hammer, it was without the small key. Like I never go to the back of Thieves Town without the small key.
Oh, okay,
Ever.
okay.
Like I'm not going for one in logic chest like that. Never.
You
I
did
assume you
find
had
this.
the small key when you had to make the decision between ice and thieves, right?
No, I got
No?
the small key directly before I got the hammer because I took the connector back up through Super Bunny, checked the front of Hookshot Cave. I got that small key, and then I checked Ether Tower. Like that was my route after book was to like I mirrored, ran down to Super Bunny, went up to the rock, and then was going to go to Ether, and then I hopped down and went through Bumper Cave to check Bombos.
I see.
That was
Yeah,
like
for me it was essentially
so.
last location between Ice and Thieves, and then I picked Ice and was right luckily. And I did have the small key at that point.
Yeah, I mean, between Ice and Thieves, it was like 4-1, right? From my perspective.
Yeah, for you it makes perfect sense, for sure.
Or 5-1, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I just never made it back up there after Pearl. Like I was already gone through Super Bunny twice before Pearl, so I just had never made it back up.
Overall thoughts on Completionist for Crosskeys? You think it's like more fun, less fun?
I think it's fun to play Completionist every now and then. I wouldn't want to play it mainly, but it's fun to just like have a chill full clear where you just get everything. You just don't have to think much.
I think for a lot of seeds it would be good. I think for this seed it really wasn't that good, if that makes sense. Like it just
with a weird sequence with GT at the end, right, where it was completely vanilla. That sucked too.
Well, not even that. It was Hera, Swamp, and GT, and Back at School was like all of it was like go mode.
Yeah.
But it was just
sure.
like you have to open every single chest in each of those dungeons. So kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I felt pretty good about like how the seed played out until I realized that the glove was just a red herring for me, and then I'm like, well, I probably wasted like 15, well, probably like 10 minutes, and it's just like from there, not gonna be a good time.
It still did seem like maybe like the hammer was kind of like the main bottleneck. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but like if you went into Ice Palace first, to go get the book, would have been I think very different time. And I guess like I mean, you guys actually ended up getting boots fairly early too, right? So you didn't even need pseudo boots.
Well, for me it was the literal first check I got, so.
Wait, how?
I still prefer pseudo boots.
You got the boots at the first check?
Oh, I guess the second one because Link's house, but yeah, was the second one actually. But yeah, I just followed.
I don't remember where the front of the old man was.
Eastern. I just followed that route there.
Oh, okay. I mean, I got him pretty early too, but I had already like I went through Hyrule and I had already had the fire rod and like the cane and stuff, and I had hookshot it over. So, but that was still before I had gone like the Lost Woods or anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, like so you guys did the exact like same opening. You guys went to the Hyrule Castle like shops and stuff, and then you went north to go get your mirror in Hyrule Castle, and then and Jem went to Eastern, and so with the mirror you were also able to get your sword from Paradox. So that was actually really nice.
It was kind of funny. I was at Sickit with like 4 checks. Just didn't have a bottle yet.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then so the other maybe like major difference was you were pretty late to the Pearl co-work, and then I mean I think everyone was late to the Hammer, honestly. So I don't necessarily know if you have to think because I think it had to be like a big confluence of things. Like you needed, like ideally you would have the Pearl with you, and you would have the Fire Rod, which you had gotten early from the Bat-like Man in Hype Cave, like because you bunny walked there, right?
I mean, I thought I had found the route when I had found the glove where I did. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling really good. So like when it turned out that none of that was actually required, and like it just like, well, we're just gonna get rocked on this seed because it's just like when you hit a route, like all the progression just falls in a line, but with like a stupid check. It like you just feel like you found it, and then it's like, well, guess not.
And then the random game is just random after all, and then you feel sad.
Exactly.
Well, still good for perspective, at least. I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of fun watching you guys. I will say though, Korek, I don't know what happened to your bow. maybe, you couldn't get it to it in time when you were fighting Lemos. I'm just saying. I only saw fire come out of come out of your screen.
Well,
Yeah,
correct. Clemos went on this restream solo comp, and then you don't even do bow Lemos. That's can't believe it.
It is
I
okay.
just gave Clear Mouse 2 hours and 19 minutes of my life, and she's just upset about some bows. Come on, like.
No, it's so good.
Jeez.
I actually no, I'm very appreciative. You did not have to take if you did not have to step out, a little bit earlier for a couple hours in order to play this. So I mean, I certainly hope that you had fun, but I'm still appreciative of you guys' time. All right. Well, any other thoughts maybe before we kind of like wrap things up?
Yep.
More cool dailies at EU times, please. Also, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for suffering through the programs for this.
Thanks.
No, it was actually a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I think a lot of things really worked out. I do want to say thank you so much to Hugo and Solid. They basically they were the trackers, but I mean like they actually knew where everything was. I'm like I don't remember where Sick Kid is. I don't remember where X is. I mean they just shine straight in, and so these guys are awesome. Yeah, they actually probably watched the race better than I did. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It was, it made me quite happy to be able to do this. This was, I think so. I didn't go through the spreadsheet, but I think I don't remember if you guys ever played together, like in League. See you guys on the same screen, like in like a 4-way co-op or something. But the last time that you guys were together, wasn't even Rando. It was NMG. I think in 2020, something like that.
Sounds
It was
right.
like, yeah. So it's like super, super awesome, like to be able to have you two, like, co-work versus Gem, or at least co-work and Gem on the same screen. So I was very happy to be able to have this. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, happy to be on restream racing Korek here.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah. All right. Well, for more daily stuff, that might be a Drossy conversation. But we can see. Yeah, and thank you guys so much for watching. It was a ton of fun being able to talk about this race and just hang out. Very chill, completionist mode. So thank you all so much, and of course, yeah, thank you Jem, thank you Korik. Made my day. So thanks guys.